The Night Monkey, an epic poem by Stacey Wetherwax. Years ago I learned that things are not as they appear. A cold November night it was when I faced my greatest fear. It started as a dream that left me sleepless for the night. To rid the darkness of the room, I rose and switched the light. But as I looked about the room, nothing did I see. All was well within, and outside was the tree. The branches waved and scratched the window, perhaps that's all it was. The ear is open while we sleep, for that is what it does. As morning came, the clock hit 6, and I rose from shallow sleep. My anger grew as my coffee brewed, but made no sounding beep. The machine had failed to percolate my favorite morning drink. It made a noise and burped out smoke and carried a gaggy stink. I brought my buttered bagel to the counter by the sink, and nothing in the night had woke me up that I could think, but something in a dream perhaps had given me a fright. So I called the bus to take me out and forget about the night. With not a drop of coffee in my blood that awful morn, I made my way out to the bus. The driver honked the horn. I loaded up and belted in for a trip to the Buffalo Zoo. The traffic jam delayed our way, and my temper quickly grew. 3 hours had passed among the cars that barely seemed to move. Arriving late, we made our way from parking lot 22. I walked outside, bundled up to keep out the November wind. I paid my way for the entire day as the cashier cracked a grin. Within, I saw a herd of giraffes eating from the trees, a family of lions lazing about despite the bitter breeze. A grizzly bear was growling like he knew just how to talk. Its cubs were standing just like people, learning how to walk. The middle of the day came quick as traffic made me late. I rested down with a cheeseburger lunch and watched things as I ate. When from down the hill, out of its cage, a monkey running free. The gray-haired ape picked up speed and was headed straight for me. As the ape came closer, I felt a paralyzing scare. I could not move, nor could I speak, nor even breathe in air. The beast was lunging closer to my spot beneath a spruce. It came so close, it fell my lunch and also spilled my juice. I held my hands before my face to protect me from its charge. I heard its breathing, felt its breath, and braced for the ape at large. But to my surprise, it did not strike, no push, no pull, no tug. It merely wrapped its arms around and gave a tender hug. I felt its hairy arms were strong, yet intended me no harm. My fear was running out of me, no cause for more alarm. The creature only wanted to hold on and say hello. I realized 'twas just a babe, and it could not let me go. The baby ape was trembling, and its body freezing cold. Having wandered off, I felt that someone should be told, but with the thought a keeper came and said, "Be still, don't fear, for this is baby Scott, a lowland gorilla from Zaire." The baby Scott still held on, and I returned his cold embrace, for he was frightened and alone in this strange and busy place. The keeper said, "He likes you much. Will you help me bring him home?" The keeper led me up the hill from where the ape had roamed. The home of baby Scott was a cage of truly massive size, and from the corner of the cage I saw a pair of eyes. The eyes were red and seemed to glow with anger and despair. The giant primate came toward us with flowing silver hair. It grabbed the bars and shook them hard while howling from its cage. It jumped around, stuck out its tongue to demonstrate its rage. The keeper stepped up to the cage, said, "Lily, what is wrong? I've never seen you quite this angry, and I've known you for so long." The mother ape took 3 steps back. Her wrath was going down, her long white teeth and gaping mouth now covered by her frown. The keeper said, "She thinks you were the one who took her child, for protecting young is instinct here at home and in the wild. But even stranger," said the keeper, "is that Lily is not his mother. She adopted baby Scott and his slightly older brother. His brother Bob a silverback like Lily here, you see. But dear old Lily took both in. They became a family 3. The keeper took from me the baby Scott and brought him in, where dear old Lily Silverback took back her missing kin. She held him tight. He held her back. Excited they were now. Back together, home again, but I saw old Lily's brow. It furrowed up, a jealous gaze, and aimed in my direction. She held her babe against her chest in a gesture of protection. She opened her mouth and raised her fist while shaking me away. Feeling scared, I had to leave and go about my day. But as I turned to leave the cage, I heard her scream at me. Nothing wrong had I done to provoke her jealousy. Her adopted monkey child had come to me that afternoon. I merely held him while we brought him home, and none too soon. Before I left the zoo that day, the keeper called to me. He said, "I must apologize for Lily's angry spree. Please forgive her. She is old and careful with her boys. The silverback can overreact to just the slightest noise." I made my way back to the bus in lot number 22, and could not forget old Lily and the tantrum that she threw. I swore to never mess again with a gorilla and its child, as sure as chicken nuggets preferred with hot sauce over mild. On the way back home, I stopped at Denny's for a dinner of onion rings, and chicken nuggets, a tall glass of Pepsi, and a few other tasty things. I finished up and paid the bill and made the long drive home, right on time for my 6:30 bath, and then I gave my hair a comb. I climbed into bed and lay down my head at the end of that long, strange day. But too scared to sleep, I tossed and I turned, yet sleep seemed too far away. With eyes shut tight, I could not help but see the angry mother monkey, with her tongue stuck out, her teeth revealed, and her cage so dark and funky. But sleep finally came, but in the late of night, I awoke with a frightening feeling. The entire bed bounced up and down, and I nearly flew up to the ceiling. It was almost as if someone jumped up and down right at the foot of my bed. I felt the bouncing, but saw nothing there, and asked, "Is it all in my head?" I was screaming aloud for some kind of help, but no one came to my aid. But the jumping did stop. The bed became still, as whatever it was had not stayed. My room had returned to normal as such normal could be, after some kind of invisible jumper awoke me in the morning at 3. Unable to sleep and calling for help, I lay there awake in my bed. I then fell silent and frozen with terror, so I pulled the sheets over my head. The bed moved again, but this time the movement was because of my terrified shake. I trembled alone, with no one to help, as my head felt a terrible ache. Would the night ever end? Would the day ever come? Would the moon go down and make way for the sun? Would the invisible jumper on the end of the bed return again this night, but to jump on me instead? Somewhere in the night, exactly when I cannot say, I finally fell asleep to have relief from the awful day. The sleep was light, but deep enough to bring upon a dream. But the dream became a nightmare of the things that I had seen. Charging apes, screaming monkeys in rows of sharp white teeth, a bouncing mattress, a late-night haunting, events beyond belief. Then dear old Lily Silverback, in the uniform of police. Her hairy hands upon me, and her brow a folding crease. Disguised as a cop, she carried me to a cell within a jail, and locked me in behind the bars and aimed at me her tail. She wiggled her rear to mock my place behind the iron bars. She laughed aloud and danced about and pointed at her star, the sheriff's badge upon her breast, the emblem of the law, to enforce her wish upon me, the outlaw that she saw. She held the keys in front of me and my eyes just had to follow. With her head tipped back, she dropped the key into her mouth and swallowed. I knew I'd be her prisoner for all my living days. To live a life behind the bars, to escape there was no way, but suddenly I left the dream, and the nightmare was no more. A member of my staff had knocked upon my bedroom door. 6:00 a.m. had come, and the night was finally gone, but I dared not tell my staff of the events before the dawn. They might have found it strange if I told them what I'd seen. Then off to the doctor they would take me for a psychiatric screen. I rose that morning and did my thing as if nothing had been wrong, even though my nights of peaceful sleep were likely gone. A sleepless night, a haunted bed, and no coffee there to drink, for the brewer was still broke and lying useless by the sink. With breakfast done, a horn was honking from the driveway's end. Denise, the driver, awaited me. She was both helper and a friend. I went outside. She said to me, "How about we go to Tim's?" A Horton coffee'll do you good, for you look awfully grim. Denise and I found a table and sat down with our cups. Wearing glasses, Denise was reading from the newspaper opened up. She said, "Oh my, this story's sad. It's about the Buffalo Zoo. It seems an old gorilla has passed at age 72. It says, 'Dear old Lily Silverback passed away while in her cage. Around the hour of midnight did she die of ripe old age. She leaves behind adopted sons named Bob and baby Scott.'" That day I saw her at the zoo, and in my dreams I thought. The shock so great I dropped my coffee, spilling to the floor. Denise looked up from her paper, said, "What did you do that for? Did something scare you? Give you fright to make you drop your coffee? You look like you have seen a ghost. So speak, you know to trust me." Typing on my Dynavox, I told her of my dread, of dear old Lily's jealous rage and her ghost upon my bed. Had it been her, old Lily, who had died and come to me? Had her spirit sought me out in the night at the hour of 3? Could her bone to pick with me pursue beyond the grave? Would my dreams be dark always like the insides of a cave? How could I be rid of this strange monkey in the night, an angry spirit ape, and only me within her sight? The night was coming much too fast, and soon I had to sleep. I did not want to go to bed, for the thought made my skin creep. But bedtime came, and I lay down and stared instead of slept. Eyes wide open, awake and scared, for myself I wept. Then around the hour of 2, something shot across my room. From the shelf, a DVD hit the TV screen and boomed. The screen lit up and smoked and sparked and flashed right in my eyes. The bedroom light was on and off by itself, to my surprise. The DVD was floating up and spinning in midair. It bounced from side to side and up and down, and I was scared. Then suddenly, all went silent, dark, and the room felt awfully damp. Lying still, my DVD of Lady and the Tramp. The spirit ape had come again, and pulled her pranks on me, but this time I was most concerned, for now it was dangerously. Whatever had come had left again, with me alone in the dark. The TV set was surely broken as it sizzled, smoked, and sparked. The rising smoke set off the alarm that tells you there's a fire. Evacuation! Get outside! But flattened was my tire. Somehow all the air had leaked out from my right front wheel. Being trapped, almost afire. The panic I could feel. The door opened wide, and the smoke rushed out as my staff came in to help. They rushed me out and away from the flaming TV set on the shelf. We got outside and waited for the fire department to come. They arrived in a hurry and put out the flames, and the fire was soon undone. The damage was slight, but the threat was real, and I wondered just what to do. The staff had noticed my tire was deflated, and perhaps it had even been chewed. They assumed that a dog or a deer had been gnawing at the rubber of my wheel, but I knew for certain what had done the deed, for the monkey of night was real. The morning came and the fire department closed off the house for inspection. I had to move into a hotel room for my safety and protection. I thought myself safe from further attacks by the spirit ape of the night. I was ready for rest and fell asleep early, assuming respite from my fright. But what happened next, and how ghastly it was, I can hardly even describe. It made all that had happened before that night seem like a positive vibe. From pure exhaustion and lying on my back, I nearly fell asleep. But just as I was drifting off, something pulled hard on the sheets. The blanket tugged and rose above the surface of my bed. Then I felt something sharp like fingernails at my head. Nothing I could see, but it felt like something next to me, chunky fingers picking through my hair in search of fleas. No fleas or head lice did I have, nor has it ever been. But the monkey ghost was grooming me. I could feel it start to preen. I screamed out loud and pulled myself away from the creature's touch. From the phone, I called for the front desk, but could not hear too much. The wire that plugs the phone into the wall was wearing through. It appeared as though old Lily was giving the cord a chew. Her ghost was so determined to keep me from getting away, I wondered if I'd make it through the night to see the day. I pulled myself into my chair and headed for the door, but something held it closed, and I saw a shadow on the floor. The darkness of the shadow grew into a massive shape. A form appeared up on the wall in the form of a spirit ape. I turned away from fright and wheeled across the carpet floor, but then I saw a pair of eyes peering out from the bathroom door. Red and deep and angry were the eyes that stared at me, and from the darkness of the bathroom the terror I did see. The monkey ghost could now be seen and felt for real this time. This apparition was here for real and not just in my mind. I grabbed the useless telephone and headed for the window was my only hope for me to ever go. Lifting up the phone, I threw it hard against the glass. The window shattered, pieces fell. It all happened much too fast. I called for help down to the parking lot beneath my room. A fire truck was driving by and came over none too soon. I said, "Come quick, I've got a dangerous ghost with me in here. A spirit monkey, ghost gorilla, an animal to be feared." The firefighter in the truck could see me through the hole. She looked up and said, "You'd be better off calling animal control." The other firefighters on the truck laughed to their heart's content. They did not believe me, so they left, chuckling as they went. Left alone, I felt abandoned, scared, and trapped inside. I turned around and saw the bathroom door opening wide. Then in the mirror, a reflection of dear old Lily Silverback. The sight of her within the room almost gave me a heart attack. The hotel bed was shaking and jumping out toward me. It slid across the carpet floor as I tried to flee. But the bed blocked my fast escape and pushed me to the wall, and just beside the broken window I feared that I might fall. How was I to stop old Lily this time in her upset? I saw a basket of fruit in reach by the kitchenette. Within the basket, a yellow banana, almost shining in the plastic. I reached for it and felt the bed against me, shaking spastic. I took the bananas and chucked it through the hole in the broken glass. The bed went still, then a force of wind across my face did pass. Through the hole went the force as the banana plunged on down. Old Lily followed the yellow fruit out the window to the ground. The ghost of dear old Lily was distracted by the snack. For the night, I felt the danger pass, but the ape would soon come back. The next day came, and I met Denise at the Fieldstone restaurant. I told her of the monkey ghost I surely did not want. Denise was most concerned for my scary situation and how I'd stop the monkey ghost from further aggravation. So I made a call to an old professor named Richard Eller Wax. He specialized in spirit matters, a true expert to the max. He asked Denise and I to come to his office in Olcott Beach. We got in the van and rushed to see him, hoping to learn what he'd teach. The professor was seated behind a desk. His office was filled with clutter. He had glasses, a mustache, a three-piece suit, a bald head as greased as butter. A few tufts of hair stuck out from his scalp like stray grass from the drive. His age was uncertain. He could have been 80 or 40 or 65. Come in, ladies, and do not fear, and forgive this unsightly stubble. I am a man who can help rid you of all your spirit trouble." We told him of the spirit monkey, making my life a wreck. He seemed professional in this sort of thing, so at once I wrote him a check. He told us to go to Niagara Produce and buy bananas by the ton. We loaded them up to go back to the zoo, and then we'd nearly be done. The van was filled with bananas, with hardly room for Denise and I. We thought his idea would never work, and I began to cry. There was no hope. Not even an expert could save me from this pain. But Denise said, "Don't give up. These efforts are not in vain." We pulled into the zoo, and the professor was waiting for us there. He had cases and boxes and cameras, and sunglasses to cut down the glare. "I hope you two are ready," he said. "This might be a little bit hard." Denise and I were terribly scared, and our defenses were on guard. "Drive the bananas to the monkey cage where the old ape had passed away. I can see you're scared, but trust me now. We're sure to win this day." We arrived at the spot where Lily and I first met and did not get along. Jumping around was baby Scott, who made me feel as though I belonged. He was happy to see me. He seemed to remember the day I brought him back. He saw the bananas and jumped for joy, thinking we brought him a snack. The professor opened his case and took out all kinds of stuff. So many things we didn't even know, and we knew this was going to be tough. "Make a circle," he said, "and hold on to these. They are your objects for protection. Now ready yourself when Lily comes through. She'll come from this direction." The professor pointed to a hanging drape of purple covered with stars. He put the bananas right in front with some pudding containers in jars. "When you know she is here, you must stand your guard and show that you are brave. When she sees that you are courageous and pure, she's sure to go away." The professor recited strange words in a language we didn't know, and then came a hurricane, but just a small one, yet it still made the wind blow. The sky was dark, the air turned foul, and this ground began to shake. I wanted to go home, but I stood my ground and would not break. As frightening as this all did seem, I was through with being scared, and no more monkey hauntings would I take, or so I dared. The wind went down, and all went silent, and the drape began to sway. The shape of Lily Silverback appeared, and I did not want to stay. The professor pushed me closer to the moving drape ahead. I was nearly face to face with her. I felt overwhelming dread. The professor pulled the curtain back. Into my horror I did see dear old Lily Silverback, her nose just inches from me. Eye to eye we faced each other, and motionless we were. I heard Denise say, "You can do it." I was ever so grateful to have her. The professor placed some bananas to my side, and I grabbed a bunch. I dangled one right in front of Lily, and she moved as if to munch. I pulled them back and looked at her and felt the need to speak. I said, "No more will you bother me. You can see that I'm not weak." I surprised myself with the sudden courage I found inside of me. I saw old Lily Silverback turn as if to flee. "Hey, wait!" I yelled. "I am not done. I have more to say to you." Old Lily stopped and turned around, and her face seemed almost new. Her old expression of anger had faded from her face. I told her how I never meant to take her baby from her grace. I had just explained I never meant to harm her or her kid. It seemed to work. Then she stepped toward me. Peacefully she did. Handing her the banana bunch, she looked down and gave them a tug. She raised her arms up in the air, then gave me a gorilla hug. The professor clapped his hands and said, "Keep going, you're doing great. I believe she has forgiven you, and never is it too late." Though I did no wrong, I accepted her apology and hugged her back in full. Forgiveness was the only way to end the push and pull. I backed away from the curtain, as Lily stood there still. She ate from her bananas until she had her fill. She looked at me and nodded as if to say I'd gone the mile. Then, I swear, I saw her send to me a friendly smile. Behind the curtain, dear old Lily began to disappear. She turned transparent, then to mist, and then completely clear. Lily was gone, and I knew this time she'd not be coming back. Where she stood behind the curtain now was only black. The professor and Denise were there, and said that all was well. Would she ever bother me again? They said that time would tell. But I knew, deep inside my heart, where the soul is said to be, that dear old Lily Silverback had made her peace with me. That night I slept so well I dreamt I was a leaf in fall. I then awoke at 6 a.m., and had barely moved at all. I knew at last that all was well, and things were looking up. I was finally happy as I took a sip from my morning coffee cup. Inside I felt such happiness and a sense of sweet relief. My monkey problem had been solved, and in a way beyond belief.